Hello, here is Anna. So I've been talking a lot lately on my channel about practicing and performing, and today I would actually like to talk about how to listen to the classical music. So I guess for some of you this question may seem a little bit weird. You may ask, what do you mean? How to listen to the classical music? You just go to a concert and listen, or you just put on your favorite recording at home, you search something on YouTube and you just listen to it and relax. And this is absolutely true, and if you've never been to a situation when you come to a concert hall and you just cannot concentrate longer than 5 minutes, or you just maybe don't know what to start with and you're very new to classical music, and maybe you have some interest and you just simply don't know what to start with, this video may be for you. So I would just like to share some thoughts of mine on how can we listen to classical music, what you should start with, how make this whole process just more enjoyable and more interesting. And yeah, let's get started. So the first tip is actually just to explore the world of classical music. So classical music can be actually very different, and if you compare an opera or a ballet to some symphonic music or instrumental music, it's of course very different. And it's normal and natural that some people prefer going to an opera, some people prefer going to a symphonic concert and listen some symphonies, and some people prefer piano music or violin music or maybe chamber music or something else. So it's just a very big world, and it's normal to prefer one genre, one type of classical music over some other. So if you just don't know what to start with, go once to an opera, go once to listen to some piano concert or maybe violin concert, or maybe to a trio or a quartet concert, and you will immediately notice that something is just more appealing to you than other. And though I am a pianist myself, I actually really prefer to listen to some symphonies in my free time. Yes, so first just try to explore. And then you may ask, how should I explore if I just simply don't know what to start with? And yes, of course, I understand. And for those of you who just don't know what to start with, I will link a list of classical music pieces that I think will be great to start with. And I tried to make this list not from the most famous pieces in the classical music, like if you type on YouTube 10 most famous classical pieces, it's everywhere, then you will know already, and probably you anyways have heard them once in your life. I tried to find something more interesting for you, but still very appealing. So now you know what to start with, and before you actually listen to some pieces, I would really highly recommend to do your own research and to read a little bit about the pieces that you are going to listen to, especially if you go to the concert. Because there you obviously cannot push on a repeat button and re-listen it again. You will only have one chance to listen it and to fully understand the piece that you are gonna listen, especially if it's a big piece, if it's an opera, if it's a symphony, or maybe even a classical piano sonata. You should really read a little bit about this. So sometimes when you go to a concert, definitely to an opera, you will get a program where there will be some information about an opera. And you also sometimes get such programs when you go to a concert, but not always. So before you go to the concert, I would actually highly recommend just simply to open Wikipedia and to read a little bit first about the composer, about his life, which time did he live in, then also about the piece that you're gonna listen. So it's very important to understand how many parts will be in this piece and maybe about the background, about the period of life of this particular composer. And I know maybe it's very obvious information for some of you, but I also know that many people just go to a classical concert and expect that it's somehow will be very clear for them, and they don't read anything about the music before. So I guess people just not always come to this idea. So yes, read a little bit about the piece that you are gonna listen. And the next tip, if you find that classical music is really appealing to you and you would like to explore it more and more, I would recommend to find out if you have in your city lectures about classical music for adults, beginners, for adults, amateurs. Or maybe you have concerts where you will also get a moderation before the concert, where somebody will talk about the pieces that he's gonna play. And I know it's not always easy to find such things. For example, I come from Russia, and in Moscow, in the city where I studied, it's very, very common to do such lectures for people who are far away from the world of classical music, and just to explain to them how to listen to the classical music, what you should think about when you listen to it, and just many other things, also about the composers and about the pieces. But in Germany, in Europe, where I live now, I actually almost don't know anybody who does something like this. But on the other hand, it's much more common here in Europe to do moderation during the concert. So when, for example, when I play my concerts, I very often also talk to the public about the pieces that I'm gonna play, even about myself sometimes, just that people get some background information and understand the whole concert better. In Russia it's not so common, so yes, I think this is also very, very helpful. But most of the time, unfortunately, actually, when you go to a big symphony concert, nobody will explain you anything. Or, of course, also when you go to an opera, to a ballet, there won't be anybody on the stage before the actual performance talking to you. So, yes, just try to find some lectures or concerts where artists are also talking from the stage. Another tip is try to take your time to listen to the classical music as you would take time to read a complicated book. For example, if you read a difficult philosophical book, you would definitely take your time, and if you don't understand something, you will just probably read it once again, or maybe a few times again. Or maybe if you just don't understand something, you will try to do research to understand it better. And with classical music, it's absolutely the same. It's not always easy to understand a classical piece from the first time that you listen to it. And another problem of our generation is that most of the people grew up listening to pop music, or maybe rock music, where a song, a composition usually lasts 3 minutes up to 4 minutes, maybe maximum 5 minutes. And of course, it's very easy to concentrate for these 3 minutes, and then our attention is just switched on to the next song and then the next song, and all of them are very colorful and just easy to understand. Of course, also when you have a text, it's just everything much more easier than when you go to a classical concert and listen, for example, to the first symphony of Mahler, which lasts for an hour. Of course, it's almost impossible to be concentrated for the whole period of 1 hour. But the thing is that we can also train our brain to concentrate for longer periods of time. So if a classical piece may sound strange to you from the first time, just try to listen to it again and again. And sometimes it also happens that we don't find something very appealing from the first time, but when we listen to it more, it actually becomes very interesting. So yes, just take your time. And the last tip is try to learn an instrument. Even if it's not your purpose to perform, actually, to play any instrument, and you just want to be a good listener and you really love classical music, learning an instrument actually also really helps you. Even if you learn it just a little bit or maybe a few instruments, it can be really helpful also in the meaning of understanding the classical music that you're really interested in. So you can even maybe ask your teacher to talk to you a little bit more about the composers that you are learning, to tell you a little bit more about it. And you will also understand more about the structure, how actually classical pieces are written. Usually they all have much more difficult structure than, let's say, a pop song. So I hope that this video was somehow helpful for you if you're new to the world of classical music and you want to explore it a little bit more. I hope that my tips will be somehow helpful. So see you guys next time. Bye!